Well, infuriated taxpayers in California lashing out at a recent school board meeting. Watch this.
This is ridiculous. This is nuts. This is crazy. My wife, I give my wife everything. I do anything I can for my wife. I'm sleeping with her. Who are you sleeping with?
I propose that there be a special recall election of this whole damn board.
Wow. The reason why everybody's so upset, a new report shows their superintendent's total compensation for last year, over $663,000, all for running a district with just 3 schools and just about 6,500 students.
Yeah, joining us now is someone who attended that meeting and has lived in that district her whole life, Danielle Sevilla. Nice to see you this morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Before we start talking to you, let's look at Jose Fernandez's, the superintendent's perks. He has a base pay of $271,000. He gets an annual raise of 9% every year.
Yeah, he works 215 days a year. That's his work year. And he can only be fired by a supermajority of the board, and it goes on and on from that. So $270,000 is what it seems like was voted on. How does he getting $663,000?
Well, it's interesting because I think when you look at the base salary, it does seem reasonable. It's what is competitive in terms of local school districts for that position. But, for example, you mentioned the 215 work days that he has. That's less than the average. And for every day in excess of that, he gets paid a daily rate. So, for example, that contributed to the total package. I believe he made like $50,000 additionally for extra days worked. In addition to that, because he has 215 work days, he has about 9 weeks of time off. So if you have 9 weeks of time off, you're probably not going to take your vacation. So then he cashes out his vacation. I believe he made about $25,000 in vacation payout.
Well,
so those kinds of things add up.
Danielle, and look at the one toward the bottom of that list that was kind of surprising to me, like over $900,000 for a home loan. That was surprising.
Yes.
And this isn't so much about, I mean, I'm all for people making money. That's not such
As am I. I believe they should be duly compensated, that in order to attract the best and the brightest, particularly to the public sector so that they don't go to the private sector, we do have to compensate people. I don't have a problem with people making a decent living, but what he makes is outside of the norm, outside of what's average for that position. In fact, he makes more than the LAUSD superintendent. That's the second largest school district in the nation with, I believe, 63,000 students as compared to our school district with only 6,000 students.
Well, it is remarkable. And, you know, when you talk to teachers who are literally having to come out of pocket to pay for supplies for their own classrooms, like construction paper. My sister, a teacher, was buying supplies out of her own wallet to be able to provide for her kids, and to learn that the superintendent is making triple than, you know, what the board actually voted on. That's got to really hit him where it hurts, doesn't it?
Certainly, and when you see that he has, as you said, received a 9% raise every year without an evaluation. I believe he's had one formal evaluation, whereas the teachers in the past 8 years have received 2 raises, one for 1% and one for 1.75%. So when you compare that, and certainly I believe he deserves credit for the improvements in the district since he's taken over. There have definitely been some increases in test scores, and there's some beautiful buildings and great technology that has been added to the campuses, but still it's not a just compensation for what he's doing, and that's a team effort.
Look, people are so angry about it. What's going to happen, do you think?
You know, people are outraged. This is a working class community. The average income is about $45,000 a year, and a lot of these families are two working parents, and so we feel like, you know, we elected the board so that so we could give them our trust to run our district well, to be fiscally responsible, and to do everything in the best interest of the children. And I do think that people are going to move towards trying to do a recall, or certainly this board will not be reelected at a minimum. And that, I think, at the board meeting that they called, something that really stood out to me was that several of the board members said this was a big surprise to them, that they had no idea that he was making this amount of money. And, you know, that's their job. They have 2 main responsibilities, I believe. One is to hire and fire the superintendent, and another is to be fiscally responsible with the public dollars that they're spending. So for them to say they weren't aware that he made this salary, you know, it's really hard to swallow.
Right, especially when these teachers are struggling to pay their bills as well. Danielle, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Thanks so much for bringing the story to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.